Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to this week's installment of Philosopher King Podcast. I've got a special guest for you guys this evening. Wasn't able to make it tonight, so he and I recorded yesterday. So I'm going to play a recording for you of my conversation with him. Wonderful guy. You all know him, Bill, the one and only. So you're going to love it. It's a beautiful conversation. What a wonderful man with a golden heart. That's the beautiful thing about people like Ted and the guys is you can see the people they draw around them and bring around them in their lives are just stellar people. So Bill's a great example of that. So I had a blast and it was an absolute pleasure chatting with Bill. So enjoy this conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and check out phoneboothpodcast.substack.com. But without further ado, check out Bill. Oh, what an honor, man. What an honor. It's great to have you, sir.
Me, Jonah.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, I've got so much respect for your boy, Ted. He's been such a good friend and enabler of the digital podcasting addiction.
Yeah. It's pretty wild what he's been able to do since I took my break and all that. Yeah, man, I'm totally blown away, and I'm super proud of what he's doing, and it makes a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm all for it. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, though, man. I know you guys are and have been very close for a very long time, and people are cut from the same cloth, man. I can tell you got a heart of gold as well. So.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being a guest here with me on Philosopher King.
Back at you, brother.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So I know there's a ton of stuff we could talk about. There's the whole Iran stuff popping off, the banking repercussions, the global global. Don't tell Ted I said that. The worldwide.
It's okay. It's referring to globalists. So those
exactly.
are globular people, if you will.
The glob heads. Yes. So it's interesting because there's so much going on. It's kind of hard to distill and focus in on what's really pertinent. What would you say is like the most noteworthy thing that you've noticed that's been popping off in the last few days?
Oh, so many people are like, quote unquote, turning on Trump, right? So flipping the script, as they say, and it's like this inner war going on, you know, and I'm seeing a lot of people, like a lot of quote unquote anons, you know, that have been around for quite a long time. They're like, you know what, this is not what we voted for. This is not anything that we were under the impression we were going to get. I'm out. You know, I'm done. And then the talking heads of the right are just like, you sellouts and this and that, and people who sell out and you know aren't supporting Trump on this war, you guys are worthless, this and that, and delete your account, yada yada yada. Like, it's pretty wild, dude.
So where do you lie in that spectrum?
I gotta kind of wait and see. You know what I mean? Because, yes, I've jumped to conclusions before and have been wrong. Also, you know, going with my gut on this one, like, this whole PSYOP just doesn't allow you to do that in good faith.
Which PSYOP are you referring to?
Oh, the whole thing's a PSYOP. Like, everything that we're going through right now is a psychological operation. In my opinion.
Yeah, the whole Iran, everything.
Everything. You know, down to Q, right down to, you know, the votes and the election and everything being stolen, all that shit. Stolen. Yeah. All that is a psychological operation, in my opinion. It has been since COVID, I would say.
At the very least.
Yeah. Maybe even before then, but at least COVID.
Yeah. I trusted Trump until how he handled COVID, frankly. I thought he was the bee's knees until that. I just can't get behind a man that knowingly allowed the fatal injection of so many millions of people.
Okay.
And facilitated the rollout of billions of doses
millions
worldwide.
of people actually died?
I think so.
Or you think so? You're behind that?
I mean, I know people who've lost almost their entire family to the jab. They're few and far between, but most people that I know have, it's either turbo cancer or name it. Like there's been a lot of wild things.
Okay.
But
I personally don't. So, and for me to like totally write it off as, you know, fake and all that shit, I'm not going to do that, because I know people that do have, you know, stories that have told that they've told me that people, you know what I mean, have either lost their lives or got at least really, really sick. And the whole idea behind it, the warp speed and all that, we can go both ways, right? So we could go the conspiracy route that this was just this accelerated kind of, this is how we're going to teach you a lesson kind of operation, right? And do this as quick as possible. That's why they call it warp speed. In and out, get the fake jabs out there, and you know, get the vaccine talk and into fruition. You know what I mean? Get everybody talking about it, and get all the truth out of it. Right? That's the one side, and then the other side is no, it was really what it was, and people have died from this. You know.
Well, and I guess the most compelling argument against my position, I would say, or against my inclination, because I'm kind of like you. Have you ever, in terms of jumping to conclusions and kind of reserving judgment, because there's so much going on and so much deceit going on. Have you ever seen that movie, Secret Life of Walter Mitty? It's a Danny Kaye movie from back in the 80s.
I may have, but I don't remember it.
So funny. Like towards the climax of action, he ends up like encountering this woman, and he thinks she betrayed him, and so they're like going back and forth, and he was like, "No, you betrayed me," and she's like, "You know, the only you people are so." Oh no! So she. Anyways, long story short, he says to her one of my favorite lines, and he goes, "Your people." You people, your minds are so muscle bound with suspicion that the only exercise you ever get is jumping to conclusions.
That's a great line.
I love it. But I mean, that's for me for Trump to regain my trust, because I don't really truly believe that he's implicated negatively on the files. I don't. Okay. I don't think that that's a thing. I think if it was a thing, they would have redacted anything to protect themselves and released it to prevent him from getting reelected. 100%, especially since that was his campaign. He ran on releasing those files.
Right. You know,
right?
Just being associated with Epstein isn't a crime. It's not a crime. Okay. Well, now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's great, you know, but there's so many people like, oh, you know, he was on the plane, or he went here and he went there, she went there, and all that. And there may not be proof that they took, you know, part in these things with underage kids. Go ahead.
Also, I think most people don't realize that Epstein had a charter service for private jets for the elite. Like that was what he did. It wouldn't be a good cover for the human trafficking unless it was an actually legitimate business that people could ride. Right. So the fact that you were on his plane doesn't mean anything necessarily.
Correct.
It could mean something, but it's not. So I think it's kind of like you have to be careful, because there's so many knee-jerk reactions of each camp that like, for me though, the only way for him to regain my trust is I want to see it revealed that warp speed was basically, he knew that they were rolling out all these toxic chemicals, and he preempted that, accelerated it so that most people would not trust it. A majority of people wouldn't trust it. And those who did trust it and took the jab, a majority of those were saline shots. The ones administered by the U.S. Army, by the military, they were saline. That's the saving grace for that. Otherwise, I can't justify a ruler, no matter how good he pretends to be, to continue to push something so problematic.
Right. Yeah. And continue to, you know, basically call himself the father of it, right? Like, it's brutal. It's brutal.
So he has to redeem that for me, and then he has to distance himself from the I country. Until he does, and I don't see that happening. Although I don't think this is a strike. It's not a war, according to the White House.
Right.
I don't think this operation in Iran has anything to do with I country, frankly. I don't think it's at their beck and call. I think it's made to look like that timing wise, but I think it's to free the Iranian people.
You're gonna go with that narrative.
I'm inclined to believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Israel's gonna eventually be involved though? I mean, they kind of already are anyway, but I mean, like on the front line aspect of it.
I think they might be. I think the regime change is already something very positive for the world in general, because
but look how many regime changes we've seen, right? Do we know that looked positive at first, but ended up being bad? You know what I mean? Especially in the Clinton administration, and shit, you name it. Like, there's been how many? I can't even count. But at least every administration has one.
Yeah, under Obama was Ukraine. Yeah, mm-hmm. So I think the big difference here for me, and I could be wrong on this, but the big difference for me is, did you hear that Trump hacked the Trump admin hacked the national television service of Iran and broadcast an 8-minute long message to the people of Iran? Mm-hmm. And he basically said, "Look, I'm just going to help by taking out the people who are oppressing you. It belongs to you to take ownership of your country." Right. That's not a regime change that we've seen in the past. There's been forceful imposition of tyrannical leaders like Zelensky and other regime changes we've seen. It's been a move towards totalitarian globalism, not this seems to be power to the people, which is what we were promised, which we have yet to see.
Again, I'm all for that. But it's... Why roll out all this AI, all this crap going on, right? It comes to a point, it's like, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at something that's actually happening? Or are we looking at something that they want us to think is happening? You know what I mean?
It's fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, what you're talking about, I saw a video of it, someone showing it on a television, that this is what they rolled out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I can't say that that's not, just AI on someone's television and someone's recording it and putting it on, you know what I mean? Like, and I hate to be so, like, flat-footed about it, but I mean, damn, dude, it's getting crazy. You know what I mean?
That's the big challenge in our day and age, and it almost makes you want to take a step back fully from all news of any kind, because it's like perpetual gaslighting. We have no idea if what seems like a live feed, we have no idea if it's live anymore.
I know.
This is a wild time to be alive. But I agree with you about AI. I agree with you about the AI rollout is very concerning. That's the other big red flag on the Trump admin, in my opinion. And I know Vince would be like, well, somebody's got to develop an all-seeing AI and all control. But
no,
do they? No. I mean, that's like, hey, look, there's killers in the street and somebody's going to kill you, so I might as well beat them to it and take your wallet. That's not a logic that I can get behind.
No, not at all. And that totally makes sense. So so when you're asking about Trump, where am I at with that? Now, I don't know, man. It's like every day you have to use discernment as best you can, but your discernment is getting just full of raw sewage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to decipher and sift through it and see what's good and what's not and what's real and what's not. And it's like, it comes to the point, like, I don't really even know anymore, man. Or I'm just automatically, it's AI slop and that's it. And it could not be, Well,
I guess there's some wisdom in that, because ultimately, how is it going to affect my life if Iran is free or not? They've been allegedly chanting death to America for 5 decades, and it hasn't affected my life at all,
Exactly.
Sorry, but it hasn't. You know, what's affected my life actually more is us invading.
They did take razor blades and put planes into a building. You know,
allegedly.
So that had to affect your life, right? I mean, that's what happened, right?
Not even that, though. I mean, granted, I was at a stage in my life where I was in high school, so it didn't even matter. Like, didn't even affect me financially. Or I know some people lost a lot financially when the markets crash and whatever, but I mean, really, even then, most people just buy and hold, and everything is new market highs after after 10 years. So what's the big deal? You know, I don't know. It's like, I love Owen. Owen Benjamin's crazy. I love it though. I mean, he's a great voice of reason, as off kilter as some of his takes are. But like, I really appreciate, he had a huge impact on my life when he was like, look, you can only affect your sphere of influence. You have enough adrenaline and other chemicals in your body to cause you to die of a heart attack right now. All they need to do is give you the right information to make that your body release those chemicals. Yeah. Right. So
interesting.
The more I get caught up in the narratives of the day, the stories of the day, or whatever else, the more I subject myself to a narrative that could damage my health because of these fears and concerns and stresses, when instead I could be focused on my family, my loved ones, my friends, the people in my life who I could make smile that day, who I can show a little bit of truth, lead them to a little bit of truth, whether about God or the higher things that truly matter, or about, the truth of the form of the earth, which is directly related to God, like all of that to me that's something that Owen really helped me kind of take a step back, because I was rabbit hole glutton. Like, I was just deep in it all, and now I'm like, that's interesting. I don't know.
This awakening, right?
Yeah.
Where are you at with that?
Oh, you mean like the Q stuff, the Great Awakening?
Well, no, I mean, that's part of it, but there's so many awakenings going on all at once. Again, more sub psyops under the main one, right? Where we think we're awakening to so many, like everything that comes out. Oh, that's a new revelation. Oh, that's something I didn't know. I gotta tell people. But where are we at as far as being able to determine what's real and what's not, and what's planted and what's not, right? That's where I'm at now. Especially since Trump did this, I'm like, okay, how much of it was he actually tying himself to, and how much of it was just organic and then just went off the rails? You know what I mean? As far as like info coming out, you know what I mean? The awakening, these truth revelations and whatnot.
So I I firmly believe that the evidence supports and can prove that Trump and Q have been working together since 1999.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the plan has been in motion since 1999.
I will agree with that.
Are you familiar with Kim Clement?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of really interesting prophecies, so-called.
Right. Thank you.
that have predicted the Iranian revolution and flip, have predicted so many other things that we're now seeing.
Dead.
Correct. Just before Trump, one of his prophecies is the one that gives me chills. Now, I understand that there's weather modification. I understand that. But allegedly, he said that he said, I'm looking at you, California, because of your ungodly ways, I will shut the heavens and you will not have rain until my David, the leader that I have appointed, the man that I have anointed, who is a man after my own heart, takes leadership of your country to deliver you. And California went through a multi-year drought where all the reservoirs all around my home, I remember seeing them bone dry. The day that almost to the moment that he put his hand on the Bible in 2016 and July 20th, 2017, when he was inaugurated, the heavens opened and it started pouring in California for the first time in years.
Interesting.
Now, was that weather manipulation? Again, am I being gaslit into thinking that that's a plan of God? Or is
Right.
I know, right? So it's kind of like,
to think that you have to at least have that on the back burner. It's got to
correct.
be simmering. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Because of everything we see going on and how many people are so-called prophets and, like, okay, how did Q know this was going to happen? Could it be a script?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just in different orders, but I hate to be the pessimist, right?
Yeah.
But I was there when the whole shit was going down, when like the purge happened, and we were just like in limbo. And I say we and a bunch of people that were online that were trying to all caught up in the
truthers.
Truthers. But at the same time, we were caught up in the red versus blue in the election, and I was still very much
same,
knee deep in a normie land. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I'm following all these people, and we're getting led to one, place, and that gets shut down, and then we get led to another, and I was hooked,
Same.
And I was like, anything that came out was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. We've been lied to, and this and that. And I'm soaking it up, saving it. You know what I mean? Like, and then now,
and then. Sorry to interject for a moment, but letdown after letdown, the explanation is always like 5D chess, be patient.
Yes, right. And, oh, well, yes, Q is a psyop. And I'm telling myself, Q is a psyop, but it's a good psyop, right? Like, it's you know what I mean? And how much longer?
I mean, you've probably heard me say this on the stream. Like, if you buy the premise, you'll buy the joke. In other words, if you believe the premise that most nations of the world have been controlled by a totalitarian global elite that have continually progressed their agenda over the last 180, let's say 80 years, right? Then it would be naive to think that in 4 years that could be all dismantled. So it would make sense that it would be a longer, more protracted, more meticulous breakdown of those systems, and much of it hidden because the systems of control are hidden. So, where, again, it's enough plausible deniability where it could go either way, really,
Which it goes right back to what I was saying is I don't want to jump the gun,
Did you see today that Rubio said that Trump's action, he's about to up the ante and increase aggression towards Iran, and he sees and the administration understands that it's playing a key role in bringing about the events of the apocalypse? Did you see that?
No, but
literally said the apocalypse, the events of the apocalypse. That was his exact words. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is going on?
See, I mean, it's like, is that like a hat tip to Anons and shit? You know what I mean? Like, is that, like, God, I know it's in that's a whole other issue. Don't get me started on it's a movie. But, there have been hat tips. There have been things that have been shown, you know what I mean, that there's Q proofs out there, 100%, and I've seen them. We could stop at Biden right there.
Yeah.
But where does the veil end and reality begin? You know what I mean? Like if I might be saying it wrong, but because there's a veil there still, but which part of it is reality? And which part of it is the reality they want us to see?
Right. And then the whole thing. It's kind of suspicious and concerning. Also, that simultaneous with all of this is now this out of the blue alien disclosure, allegedly. Right. So why is that? Why is that the timing right now? It's obviously
haven't we had these before too, and then they end up always like kind of coming up short, and they're just vague and.
I don't think we've ever had a sitting president say that they were going to release the they were going to have a UFO disclosure, like
right.
a UAP
disclosure,
right?
Okay,
I don't know that that's ever happened before.
Right. I know they've had Congress before, at least. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like congressional hearings and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, though, okay, so, you know me well enough to know that I'm a Christian. I totally believe in Scripture being inspired and everything. So for me, I'm more serenely watching events take place, especially in terms of we seem to be on an accelerating trajectory for the prophecies, legitimate prophecies of the apocalypse and what it's going to look like. And that's the thing that's on the back of my mind more than anything else, because Trump is playing a role, whether he knows it or not. I think he is ushering in the times of the Antichrist, whether or not that's going to be him or someone who follows after him. Mm-hmm. He's setting up the AI infrastructure to make that totalitarian, complete control of humanity a possibility.
That's undeniable. I got to give you that one.
And that's concerning.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah. I mean, if I tell you I'm trying to give you all the freedom, I'm trying to give you your freedom back, but in order to do so, I got to put a camera in every room in your house, and I've got to track where you're going every day and how you spend every cent. It's for your good, Bill.
Yeah, for your safety.
I'm looking out for you. I want to protect your home. Come on. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're if this is just a big old lesson to be learned, they're going about it a little rough, man. And at what point do they turn around and say, "Okay, we were just kidding,"
Yeah, I mean, and Q says the ending won't be for everybody. There's gonna be like 5 to 7% or whatever who just won't see it and continue to.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Okay. And isn't that almost kind of like a gaslighting thing in and of itself? Because then the temptation, it's almost like an unspoken pressure pushing you to accept it and embrace it because you don't want to be part of the 5%. Right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of a subtle manipulation, isn't it?
It is. It is. That's what, again, psychological operations, on levels that I it's so hard for me to wrap my head around, or it's just blatant. We're going to do it and we're going to show you we're doing it every single day. And there's nothing you can do about it. Even if we put it all out there so you have knowledge of it, right? And you can try to say that you have a decision to make. You can either be for it or against it. It doesn't matter because it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it looks like. If it's not,
frankly, if you look at, what's written in sacred scripture is written in sacred scripture, and it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, the reality is we're headed that direction, whether or not Trump buys us a couple 100 years because he does clean house, or whether he buys us a few years, or whether he institutes it himself. That's the direction we're going infallibly. And it's not a black pill thing like Vince accuses me of. It's just a recognition of respecting divine revelation and saying, okay, well, the whole point of this recognition that things are lining up with revelation isn't to black pill, but rather to be like, all right, when all these things out of our control begin to exert control on us and limit our freedoms, we can still have hope because we know how the story ends.
Right. Which could be, if you look at it from another perspective, it's a pacification, right? Oh, don't worry. At least God's going to win. And this
fair. Fair.
I'm just, looking
well, it's interesting. No, and I respect that. What's interesting, I don't know if you've been able to catch, I know it's early in the morning, but I have that Cup of Jonah reading in the morning where we're going through philosophy, and it's actually...
I wish I had a different kind of job.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. No, but so this, the reason I'm plugging through this right now actually is because over the last few days, we've had some very interesting readings about what God is and is not, and what he cannot be. If we're going to say he's the first unmoved mover, if he's the cause of all things, which there has to be a creator. So let's call that God. And then what if there's a creator that's the source and font of all other being and creation? There are certain things that contradict that reality that we know can't be true. And the reason I think that's so valuable in our day and age right now is because you've got this idea of ancient aliens somehow seminating the U.S., the race, the human race, right? Mm-hmm. You've got all these ideas of, oh, is everything AI? Is this all just a simulation? Are there multiple timelines? All this stuff that to the imagination, we're so wrapped up in fantasy in our movies and everything, it can be compelling until you take a step back just from the use of reason and realize, oh, actually, that can't be. This has to be the way that. So you're able to just kind of brush aside things that are somewhat compelling deceptions for people who haven't taken the time to go through some of these thoughts and realize what it means when we say there is a God, there's a creator. What does that mean? What are the consequences of that claim? Right? So it's very freeing from that standpoint, which is why I think it's a really important thing to be doing right now.
That's awesome. No, and I honestly, I agree. I have to play. I hate the term devil's advocate, but I knew that. It's like, is there anything? I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh God, is there anything else I could say? But I have to do that in order to not only make conversation, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't feel this way and are looking for something to grasp to. You know what I mean? And go with God, man, at all costs.
Yeah.
That's the sure thing. But are we again? Do we sit here and say, okay, this is it, because this guy's going to bring us to Revelation and bring us to the end times, and here we go. All right, God, I'm ready because this dude's going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, is that exactly what is that really what's going to happen? Or are we going to get duped and be into another 200 years of slavery, only this time?
True slavery,
Yeah, far, far worse. Mental, physical, everything.
Yeah, and I guess here's the question too: is, I guess what do you do?
All the books, by the way, of the Bible.
What's that?
He does like all the books of the Bible, you know.
Right? Yeah. And then he was asked,
very personal to me.
He was asked what his favorite verse is, and he's like, "Oh, it's just so hard to pick one. I love so many." Like, all right. And then I think the one verse he tried to quote was not even in scripture. It was some comment. It was some pastor said it somewhere. It's so funny. Yeah, but I mean, and I guess that's why, again, that just going back to that book that I've chosen to dig into in the morning show is because for me, like what you said, I'm respecting the fact that we're all coming from different places.
Yeah.
Which is why the fact that this doesn't rely on scripture, but on reason, that's why it's so important, because, you know, the only timelines that I have in my life, the timeline jump that I can do is if I make a bad decision that has ripple effects for years in my life, or if I make a good decision. That's how I can change my timeline, is with my free choice. Right. That's the timeline shift that I can affect. But it's not really a timeline shift. That's the very limited sense of that term that you could possibly, right? It doesn't. Nothing else makes sense.
First-hand experience, let me tell you. Yeah. I'm right there.
Yeah, I've been through the through a family court system. I know what a bad decision, how long a bad decision can affect your life.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've been there, man, and it's far and wide, the ripple effects, and it hits deeper than most people realize. I think unless you've been through it, I don't know if you can, or if one can really fully comprehend how devastating it can be.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
It's unreal.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into it, but
we'll
leave it there. We'll leave it there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's and what's interesting, what that experience for me taught, I'll speak more abstractly of the lessons learned rather than the particulars. But for me, what that taught me is that like I was left, and I don't know if you can relate or not, but that was for me when I was left with nobody. I was just left alone with nothing to rely on but God, really. And whether or not anyone listening is religious or not, I'm not talking about religion, because I actually left the religion that I was spent many, many years in. I was in a monastery for the religion, and I left it because of the trauma of the whole situation. Yeah. But so religion aside, what it taught me is when I was left bare bones, nothing, naked and starving, right? Yeah. All I had was him, and he carried me through. And now I feel like nothing could beat me. Nothing. Come on, Trump, bring it, buddy. Right. Because nothing. I mean, okay, fine. Put me in a 15-minute city. Fine. Monitor everything I say. Fine. Cut off my paycheck. I had that happen. Fine. Okay. And I'll still be here, by the grace of God. Yeah. So that's the big lesson it taught my heart.
I'm in the learning part as we speak, so I'm in that aspect.
Understood, brother.
Yeah. Waiting to get on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Day by day.
It will come.
Yes.
I promise you. I remember days when I would sit. So I was in on a little coastal town in California. And I remember days I would get off work and I would just go sit at a bench on the boardwalk on the beach and just listen to the waves and feel the air on my face. And just, it was everything I could do just to make it to the next day, And like my sweet baby girl, I couldn't see her. I was not allowed, like so many pains that unless you're a father, you cannot fathom, Yeah. And like that for me, having made it through that, and I'm still going through it in some ways because I haven't resolved all the battles and regained full access to my daughter and been able to be present in her life as much as I'd like to. So there's still like unresolved things, but that darkest period, like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not easy, man, but it's, yeah.
And I know there's other people that are going through it out there, and just, you're not alone, as cheesy and cliche as that is. It's very, 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 very true.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
So all that,
all that aside,
all that,
exactly.
What's going on with everything now? Yeah. The word awakening has just been shape-shifted and rearranged and crumpled up, thrown up, burnt, and rewritten again for me. So.
Yeah, and as funny as it may sound, I think one of the most important truths to help people through any difficulty in their life is flat Earth. And I know that sounds crazy, but when you walk outside and you look up at those stars and you realize that's a canopy that was put there for our delight because God loves us, it's incredible. Like it totally, instead of feeling like a speck on a speck flying through an empty void, now all of a sudden everything has meaning, everything is cared for, everything is, and even Aristotle, way before Christianity, way before God the Father, Jesus, and before any of that, he's like, God is a loving Father who cares for each and every one of his creatures, no matter how small, because his attention isn't divided, so he can give his full undivided attention to every single one of us, no matter how small. Like it's. Yeah. And to me, flat Earth, biblical cosmology, I like to refer to it as, is so beautiful because it really underlines that truth of we're cared for, Yeah,
man. I just remember that first time when it clicked. I've been raised Christian. And I always believe in God. And I've had, I've fallen off. Coming back, falling off, coming back. But when that hit, that realization that this indeed proves this is created, it completely, I think that was the moment that I started taking another route. You know what I mean? Like the rails changed and I was being derailed from one direction in life and put into another, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't quite see it going as extreme as it did.
Yeah.
But I feel that when this is over, that's where I need to be right back there, you know, and I'm slowly getting back there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in that relationship with him. It's just it's been a brutal ride, you know.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was walking. This is just about a year ago, maybe. I was walking through my living room, and I walked from my office, and I was walking basically kind of through. I had a big loft in the other house. I had a big loft area, kitchen, and living room area. Kind of. Anyways, too many details, doesn't really matter. But I just had this like I faced the cross that I had hanging by the door as I walked, and my heart cried out because I felt so alone and in pain. And my heart cried out, and I was like, how long, Lord? 10 years? 10 years. I'm like, how much longer do I have to? And I heard him, like, in my heart, I heard him say, really, Jared? 10 years? 10 years, Jonah? How long? How long has it really been? So I stopped and did the quick calculation in my head. I'm like, oh, it's been 7 years. And then like the thought came to my heart. It was like, isn't that a biblical number? 7 years of feast, 7 years of famine. Doesn't that sound familiar to you? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, since then, I've reconnected with my parents. I was disowned. We were estranged for a long time. I reconnected with my brother. God willing, with time, the rest will be. So like it's this rift and this brokenness is starting to heal. I can see it already. And so that was really encouraging. It was almost kind of like a little paternal correction. He was like, how many years there, buddy? Nice. Nice. So, you know, it's very humbling, like, just to see that there is a reason for everything. And when we get through it, we'll understand it, you know?
Yeah. And that, just the recognition of that lie in itself encompasses all the other ones underneath it, right? Like, you're just like, you go back, but you have lied to me since I was this big.
Yeah.
And you told me this is where I live and this is how things work.
Yeah.
And none of it's true.
None of it.
So that right there was like, okay, between knowing a creator and then knowing the lie and, you know, this is Satan's world and I want God's world. That right there, it immediately made me do a 180. I lost so many friends. Flat Earth was beyond a game changer, dude. Like you're saying, like, not only spiritually, but man, physically, like going through the phases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And just the anger, and then the hurt, you know what I mean? And then that sense of hopelessness, like, wow, am I the only one around me that knows this? And am I doomed to be it? You know what I mean? But look how far we've come, dude, since, oh my gosh, 2016, I think Ted and I were really diving into it. It's beyond awesome. Just freaking awesome, man. Like to see where it's gone and how it started and where we're at. And even with the final experiment, you know, I thought, okay, they might take a little chunk from us. And I'm like thinking, that's the stupidest thing ever, right? Yeah. You know, what is it? So what if it's 24 hours of daylight? If it is. But
right.
Yeah, but so what? It's still not everything else it says it is. And it's not a game, you know what I mean? It doesn't end game. There's no end game there. There's no defeat. There's no win. The physics of water, you know.
Yeah.
Alone.
So here's an interesting question. This is actually a similar question I asked Ted when I had him on here. Mm-hmm. What would be the most impactful and important and foundationally significant truth that you've become aware of? Is it flat Earth, or is there something else that had more of an impact on your life and your perspective on reality and your psychology and like your day to day?
I mean, flat Earth is right there, dude. Because it just opened up a world of acknowledgement, and it taught me to use my discernment better.
Yeah.
And I started picking up on bullshit so much easier.
Yeah.
After
no,
that,
it's so true.
Especially with the mainstream media and NASA and you name it, you could see it for what it is, and it's right there. You're like, how does not anybody else see this? You like, it could drive you crazy, but the scales are still on the eyes for so many people. But flat Earth removed so many scales, dude. The biggest ones.
Yeah, it's like the first domino that so many fall right after it.
Yeah.
And look, the people who see the true form of the Earth or understand that truth, none of us are going to be deceived by an alleged alien invasion.
And let's call it what it
is.
Just
that.
You and I can agree. We don't know what it is, right? We don't know the exact shape of it. We don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
We just know what it's not.
Right.
And it's not what they tell us. And what we've been, brought up to believe. So, which that right there, with the Q thing and all that, and Q's like, no, it's not flat, and this and that. I had to kind of play. I had to juggle in my mind, right? Like
cognitive dissonance, yeah.
Right, yeah. I had to play that a little bit, but.
Oh, because Q said disinformation is necessary, right? So if we ever catch him in a lie, it's not a lie. He's just playing the game, allegedly.
Plus, it was on the board and said, for Q, for all the anons on here that think the Earth is flat, is the Earth flat? You know what I mean? Like the way it was put out, or for all the dummies on here or whatever, is it no?
Well, and also something that always rubbed me the wrong way about Q is when he was talking about, when the Q team was talking about the Q team, they were saying they referred to themselves as wizards and warlocks. Mm-hmm. Now that's a high ranking occult office, and we know that's bad. So, and Maga is the head magician, the highest ranking magician. So like, what is going on? I mean, yeah, I just keep coming back in my heart to, there's this line in scripture that says, put not your trust in princes.
Yeah.
And that's just, to me, the foundational, like, I think it's really dangerous to, I mean, as you mentioned before, this red versus blue, like to get involved and sucked into this cult-like mutual opposition without discernment is really the danger.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think we were deceived?
I think we are actively being deceived. Yeah.
Well, I say that in past tense because I feel like you've come to, to terms
fair
with it, right? You know what I mean? And are
I see what you're
seeing it
saying.
For a broader spectrum. You know what I mean? But are we? Of course we're actively being deceived.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and the similarity between, and I know this has been said many times by many others, so it's nothing new, but this whole Operation Freedom at the Bolshevik Revolution, leading up to the Bolshevik Revolution that enslaved all of the Russians and then took down all of Europe essentially shortly thereafter. That's not insignificant. That it is paralleling in a lot of the tactics, even the Q movement. That's concerning, So
yeah,
I mean, we're not going to know till we know. That's the truth, But I think there's immense freedom in understanding. Like, look, a lot of people are just mesmerized. Either they love or hate Elon Musk. He's the hero for the patriots and free speech. But is he? I mean, how much free speech is there on X? And then he's perpetuating the globe lie with his SpaceX and all that crap. So how much can we trust him? Not at all.
Right. Blatantly. How much farther or how much longer can they go on with this? You know what I mean? Like, okay, for instance, the moon landings, right? Landings plural. But they keep going back. They keep putting it off, and space space bros are just like, no, you don't understand. It's gonna happen. We just gotta get this right, and it's gotta be calculated right, and this and that. And we're already supposed to be at Mars, and all this stuff, right? They just keep sucking it up and sucking it, but blatantly being lied to. You are being lied to. It's not like a miscalculation of events, okay? This isn't like, oh, we're coming up short on this, so we can't make it by that date. No, you're blatantly being lied to, and you don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, or they don't see it.
So,
rather, they don't see
it.
Yeah.
How do they not see it though?
I know. Well, what's funny to me though, and this is kind of something I think a lot of. So, for those of you watching who still believe that we're in a heliocentric universe, the Earth is a speck hurling through this meaningful nothingness that was created by a big bang, an explosion of a whole bunch of stuff out of nothing. Mathematical impossibility, by the way. But let's just, for the sake of argument, okay, say you're right on that. Well, not even that. No. Realize that, like, my uncle worked at NASA.
No kidding.
My aspiration as a child was to be the first man on Mars, because according to the projected time frame at that point, I would have been ideal age for that maiden voyage to Mars. And I was like, I'll give 3-4 years to get there and make history. Well, let's do it. Right. So, like, in my head, so I was like a fiend when it came to astronomy and all the different methods of calculation and science that are applied to that false reality. So, like, for those of you listening, when Bill and I are talking about it, we're not, nobody wants to be a flat earth. Nobody wants to deny the globe. It brings nothing but pain and confusion and scorn from people. So you're dealing with people who understand all the claims and the arguments for the heliocentric model, have evaluated them and looked at them honestly, and have rejected them as not scientific. Have you done the same thing? That would be my question to anyone watching who's still on the fence about it. Have you actually looked to see if their claims are valid? I would posit that you have not.
Yeah. They're just perpetuating it, really.
Yep.
And participating.
I mean, I could triangulate for you the distance between I could explain to you exactly how the parallax effect helped us understand exactly how far distant galaxies or star systems were from us. Like, I could do all the calculations. I could tell you what elements, based on the light and the shift in the light spectrum, what elements were producing that light, and therefore we knew that was a helium or nitrogen, whatever the star elements in the star were. Like, I knew all of that stuff. I was a teacher's assistant too. I was the guy helping all the other kids at college understand this stuff. Like, so I'm not somebody who just is like naive Christian Bible thumping biblical guy who's just like, well, God said, God said, although frankly, that should be enough, but
true.
But ultimately though, it's, a lot of times I think what people who hold white knuckle onto this globe lie, what they, in their, I want to say arrogance, but I know in a lot of them it's not arrogance. It's just they haven't taken the time to actually consider it. The intellectual mechanisms, the walls of defense that have been programmed into them are too strong. But like, that's what I would encourage everybody to think, is realize that you're not talking to schlubs who don't understand basic physics. Like, I was a math and physics major.
That's awesome.
I'm not an ignoramus. I mean, in some things, probably.
It's awesome to see that transformation, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how humbling was it?
Huge. So, in male psychology, especially men as opposed to women, right? We tend to have our trusted sources. So if somebody has told us something and it's proven true again and again and again, different things, we tend to be less discerning when they tell us something in the future, and more exploratory, inquisitive, because they've been right 99 times. Then why would I just assume and discard the 100th opinion because it seems strange to me? So if it comes from a trusted source, we're more inclined to give it a fair check,
Yeah.
And for me, it took a trusted source who I at the time I really respected their mind and their intellect, not so much anymore, but that's for other reasons. But at the time, they challenged me and said, "Have you ever thought of this?" And I was like, "No, because that's ridiculous." I laughed at it when I first heard of it years ago, and they're like, "Okay, prove me wrong." And I'm like, "Done." And I came back a couple weeks later, and I was like, "What have you done to me?" Because I knew this person was a serious person, and I couldn't just blow smoke up their tail.
Right.
Like, I had to actually address the thoughts and the objections that they had. And that's what did it for me, was that
doing the work.
Yeah. So prove us wrong, folks, please.
I just remember, dude, there was nights I couldn't sleep, and just like, God, why did I overthink everything? It's so simple, Lord. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I was at. And it's just, oh man, what a crazy time that was, dude. Honestly, like, and from there to now, it's so hard to even remember the old me, because
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of memories of who I was, which I don't know if that's good or bad. But maybe it's good. Who knows? It's hard to say, man. This shit's done a number on me. Years and years of devoting myself out there, putting myself out there, being ridiculed. Ted and I just continually taking the slings and arrows, and we didn't care. We were just giving it right back to him, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And who I am now, as empty sometimes as it feels and lonely as it can be, it's so much nicer knowing that it's reality. You know what I mean? And it's real.
Have you ever seen that meme where it shows like there's a fork in the road and both roads kind of go off into the distance, and there's like thousands of people going to the left and there's like one or two people out going off to the right? That's what it feels like sometimes,
Yeah, it does.
So this is interesting actually, because I left the church in rebellion from all the things I went through and stuff. But one of the things, so before I actually looked into seriously the flat Earth, I was already a geocentricist. In other words, I believe we were a sphere, but that we were sitting immobile and all the cosmos were rotating around us. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is when I discovered that truth, because of Michelson-Morley, really, that whole experiment there,
right?
What that brought me to a place of humble acknowledgement. Because so philosophically, we would say that the higher sciences, Aristotle would say too, that the higher sciences can judge the lower sciences. So if you're doing a applied physics problem and you're trying to calculate the speed of, this when it hits the table, and you get a negative number, then you forgot a parenthesis somewhere or something, right?
Right, okay.
You made a mathematical error, so the physicist can say, nope, your math is wrong, fix it. So too, Galileo was condemned by the church because what he taught was contrary to scripture and contrary to the faith. Mm-hmm. And now there's all this outrage, the church was wrong, but then you realize that's a higher science judging a lower science. It had every right to tell him to stop publicizing that lie. Mm-hmm. And instead, this whole ship, that little piece, that little rudder turned this whole barge the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like, I just think sometimes it had the scientific community respected the theological criticism of that conclusion, what a different world it would be,
That's true. But it's evil, right?
Yeah.
Like, here we go, good versus evil. There's people out there like, here comes the corny shit. No, it really is. And it's to turn us away from our Creator.
Exactly.
And you know, I speak in simplistic terms because I'm not a historian. I'm not this guy who's done tons and tons of research on how we got here and all that. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? But I understand people, and I understand us as humans.
Yeah.
And a human emotion, how we can easily be tricked, and coming up with this heliocentric lie, this grand scheme of things, right? It seems so amazing. Why couldn't have God done that? Well, that's not what he did. That's not what we taught,
Yeah.
But why not? So
Yeah.
how many times you run into that one, right?
Yeah.
Why can't he create the this ever nonstop universe that's constantly replicating itself and only moving at thousands of miles an hour and this and that? That's God. Why couldn't he do that? Well, because none of that has anything to do with us.
Right. I mean, theoretically, in a vacuum, he maybe could have, I guess, but that doesn't change the reality that he didn't.
Right. But to what purpose? We are his purpose.
Yeah. Amen.
Like, none of that even matters. I'm just going to make these cool looking, nebulas and this for my enjoyment and shit. Nobody's ever going to see it but me. And I'm going to constantly keep making more and more and more and more and more, and focus less and less and less on the one I've already made. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
From a religious standpoint, from a Christian standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
Well, even just from even prescinding from Christianity for a second, for those who are watching who may not subscribe to that belief,
mm-hmm.
I think even just from and again, not to just keep plugging Cup of Jonah in the morning, but like the book that we're going through, the book that we're going through really just underlines that like there are certain things like God, like it's really important to actually realize that God did not create evil. He cannot do any evil. He cannot cease to exist because he is his existence. Like there are things, it's not limiting God to say he can't do certain things.
Right.
That's, it's like this Americanism that we have where freedom is only freedom if it's arbitrary freedom. No, it's freedom for the good. We're not free if we're choosing the slavery of vice or if we're choosing the evil that then entraps our soul and our heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's not freedom. It's the opposite. Have you ever heard of the book People the Lie by Scott Peck?
No.
So you would love this book.
Yeah.
So this book, basically, he was an atheist or an agnostic,
mm-hmm.
and he ended up converting because he actually came to believe and understand that there is true evil and free will truly exists. But what brought him to that is, so People of the Lie describes basically what happens is when people actually finally at some point in our life, we're going to be faced with our own brokenness. Call it wickedness even, right? Our own tendency towards evil, our tendency towards self-destructive behavior or selfish, whatever, right? So he says, when we're faced with that reality of our own fallenness, we have a choice. We can either accept that we're fallen and broken and look honestly at it and begin to work on ourselves and to grow as people, or we can protect ourselves by looking at that brokenness and wickedness through a rose-colored lens, justify all of it, and then start to reinvent. We become a lie, People of the Lie. We become a lie because we reinvent our entire worldview and our perception of reality in order to protect our brokenness from being acknowledged what it is. I think something very similar when you see this whole heliocentric world that we've been taught to believe, it's like the People of the Lie on the universal scale. Like we've all been taught to believe that there's no meaning, no care, and it's that way. There's no consequence or objective good or evil. There's
nothing after this.
Nothing. It's all meaningless at that point, because if it had meaning, then it would compel us to then start to ask, what is that meaning? And how am I acting in accordance with that higher reality and truth or not? Right. So it's very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
That's a cool. I got to check that out.
And then one of the things he says too is it's almost impossible if with except for like a miracle of some kind, it's almost impossible once someone has made that choice and become a person of the lie for them to see through their own lie, because they're very sincerely and very honestly wreaking havoc in the world and the personal lives of people around them, because in their minds they're not seeing the same reality that we are because of their self-deception.
Yeah.
So they didn't lie to you.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
My ex didn't lie to me at all. She's just a person of the lie. And once you realize that there are people out there who've made that decision and put themselves on that track, then you know what to expect from them.
Wow.
As sad as it is, but there's someone in my life
that nails it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's someone in my life who I can't allow too close, because I know that they are a person of the lie. I've seen it. I've seen them justify the most heinous things you could ever do to somebody.
Really?
And they are absolutely 100% convinced that they did the right thing in that situation. And you can't talk. You can't even have a conversation with that.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And that's where I think, like, to bring it back to flat Earth, like that's how it's so important, not just with the cosmology, but also within our own personal lives, to be really honest with our own broken perception of our own lives and of the world around us, and to be okay accepting that.
Yeah.
And then starting from there.
Face it head on, take it all in, and give it to God.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately we can't do it alone, and I'm realizing that every single day. As alone as I feel.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the most beautiful things that someone told me years ago that was so impactful for me at the time and still today is that, like, okay, well, obviously the only explanation for evil in the world is that God allowed it. Why would God allow it? There's so much evil. That's really a testament to how much love, how valued love is, because love has to be a free choice. If it's conscripted or coerced, it's not love. It's slavery, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So love is such a wonderful thing, and free will, which makes love possible, is such a sacred thing and such a beautiful thing that, like, okay, so if free will is that important, then what am I doing with my free will? And if free will is that foundational, then anything that takes away that freedom, whether it's my own openness of mind or something other. But here's the beautiful thing. God so loves and protects our free will that he doesn't even make the divinity of his son incarnate a necessity. He's not even going to coerce anybody to believe that. He makes it just as easy to deny that as he does to deny his own existence, because he wants us to believe out of love. He wants us to freely choose. He's not going to, like, if something happens repeatedly to you by the same type of a person or the same situation, you're going to just be coerced to avoid that situation, right? So he makes it so that we always have that free choice. But so back to the point I was trying to make, tangent aside, is if I try to resolve my own difficulties and get through my own heartaches and problems on my own, he's going to let me, because that's the free will that he's given me. The moment so this person told me, if you try to resolve it on your own powers, God's going to let you. If you invite him into that situation, whether it's making your car payment next week,
right,
or if it's finding a wife, or whatever it is, right? Or a new job or whatever. So, like, inviting him into those situations, then he comes in powerfully and helps us resolve it for our good. but only if we invite him into those moments.
So
it's beautiful.
So where are you at with manifesting and the new age part of this then?
I think it's a lie. It's a deception.
Okay, so did they merge at any point or no?
I think it's attempting to. It's actually very similar to heliocentrism. It's very similar to in seed form. It's the same lie as evolution and heliocentric, because in evolution, what do we say? God didn't create us. We evolved and created ourselves.
Right.
Heliocentric, God didn't create the universe. It just came from nothing, and then it all developed of its own accord to this. God doesn't guide me and lead me in my life and ordain things for my good as I invite him into my life. I manifest my own future and my own positive things. So yes, do we need to be optimistic and positive and have faith and confidence in God's providential care and the future good of our lives and our trajectory and all? Yeah, absolutely. But to think that I created or am creating my reality is dangerous. And that's a lie that takes him out. It takes him out of the equation.
I mean, kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
You're God, not him. No, or the one is he's in you, right? Like part of your spine and shit.
Well, but he is though. Like,
right,
he is, but properly understood, Right. Like, I'm not him. I think, who was it? I don't know if it was G.K. Chesterton. He's like, I think he said, I only know two things for certain. There is a God, and I'm not him. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Very cool. I was getting sucked into that, though, that new age part of it. The whole, man, it was just like, oh, this is awesome,
Yeah. It's so tempting.
It is, and it does spiritually mess with you. You know what I mean? Like, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
There are things, if it's demonic, then there is a power source there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Flowing through you.
Yep.
And yes, you can make things happen.
Yep.
Okay, but are they for the good? You know what I mean? Or is it wicked?
Well, and here's the thing. Like, if I can make things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I could make things happen, then my best friend when I was 15, I would have ended up marrying her and having 10 children with her. But I know that that's not what God would have wanted. That wouldn't have been a good thing. I prayed every day for a long time for that because I loved this girl, Jessica, so much.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I know that there's a lot of blessings that have come in my life that I never would have. I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for that not happening. Right. That changed the whole trajectory of my life because that didn't happen. There's so many other things, so like, if I was truly creating my own destiny and manifesting my own future, she would be my present, but she's not. So like, to me, that's like, okay, well, I didn't do anything less than my absolute effort other than invoking some spirits, you know?
Well, there's where you messed up, Jonah.
Yeah. Oops. Shucks. Redo. No.
You forgot the burn bowl, okay? On the
I forgot the sage and yeah. Exactly. But and here's the interesting thing though, is like, okay, if I do believe, shameless plug, if I do believe that there is an omnipotent being who has his 100% devoted attention on every single one of his creatures, whether it's the little mouse, the little field mouse that kind of scavenges throughout the day, or whether it's me or, the king, the Emperor Trump, whatever, right? All of us have his devotion and attention 100%. Right. Okay. So if I know that, and if I know he's the cause of all things, do I want to trust his guidance and in my life, or do I want to push him aside and say, no, my will be done. I got this, Lord. I've got a better plan. Really? Are you sure about that, Jonah? And I learned that the hard way. Yeah.
pretty wild stuff, man. That's going on, you know. I mean, there's so much we could talk about.
I know.
But I think our personal experiences are kind of, you know, we've kind of gone through a lot of the same things on different levels, but in the general, you know, aspects of it. And I think it's pretty wild that we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't take anything for granted anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't say that anything just happens, you know, for no reason. It's all random. No, none of that anymore. Yep. You know?
Agreed.
And I'm going to walk away from this conversation totally different than I was an hour and a half ago.
I love it, man.
And I'm going to get the book.
Yeah. And I go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, this is the part of the awakening that I love, right? I've met so many people that I would never otherwise ever imagine even meeting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought I was going to be on X and,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, doing all these crazy things that we did and up to this point now, you know, or even talking on a podcast, because, man, when I was in the world, I was in the world.
Yeah.
But not that we're not right now. However, we're on a different plane, you know what I mean, of existence.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate what you said about how, you know, everything happens for a reason. I used to get teased. I get teased all the time for, like, almost every single day you'll hear that phrase out of my mouth. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah. I truly, truly believe that. One of my favorite from the alleged dark ages, you know, that time period that they don't want us to look at because otherwise it'll wake us up to a lot of things. Yeah, the dark ages. There's this one woman called Catherine of Siena, you know, this great saint of the Catholic Church. You know, that patriarchal church that doesn't allow women ever to speak? Yeah, that one. She has a book on divine providence. And the one nugget that has stayed with me since I read it was, she said that God has so ordained that every single other human soul that we come in contact with, for our charity, as an opportunity to love them and to give to them, where there's something that God wants to teach them through us, through their interaction with us. But for our humility, there's also something that we can learn from them. So there's this symbiotic, mutual benefit of people truly in sincerity with open hearts coming to each other and having a heartfelt, honest conversation. That's just so beautiful. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You have no idea.
I love that. I'm honored. Any final thoughts for the people here watching as we kind of land the plane a little bit here?
Oh, man. Out of all that's going on, try not to lose yourself. You know, try to keep yourself intact as best as you possibly can. And don't sway one way too far. Don't sway the other. Use your discernment. I know it's cheesy, but, you know, and don't lose touch with this, with what your heart's telling you. Because we could see what everybody else is telling us is going on. This is going on, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you know what I mean? Like, what's your heart telling you? Because chances are that's someone knocking on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you have to go and be like, everything's fake and the whole world sucks. You know what I mean? You don't have to have that attitude either, although I have that a lot.
It's a battle.
It is. But the feelings are still real. Our humanity is still there. You know, like, whether you said you're religious or not, you know what I mean? Like, you still have this. Yeah. It still hurts when you hurt. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it still feels good when you feel good. You laugh when you laugh. Our humanity. Don't get sucked into this AI shit to the point where there's no coming back, Vince. And because now you've done it. You've transcended. Okay. Yeah. Even though you're still in a physical form, right? You're in this meat suit. it doesn't matter. I don't think we were talking about this the other night. I don't think it's a chip. I don't think we need a chip.
No. Yeah.
It's just once we've unplugged from one and plugged completely into the other, which we do it, quite a bit just being online and everything else as it is, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of already hooked into it, but, don't lose that sense of self. Yeah. No matter what. You know what I mean? Like, come back to earth, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And that's really all I can say, dude. From me, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
It's the only thing working for me. Like, okay, take a pause, take a breath. How does this feel? What does this feel like to you? You know what I mean? Like, because you can't trust anything, most anything you can see anyway. Now, that's out the window. So that whole seeing is believing thing's pretty much out the window. And yeah. So.
Well, and you're not, if I'm understanding correctly, you're not talking about, when you say in here, you're not talking about the emotions. You're talking about the heart deeper than the emotions.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the emotions will be pulling us this way. COVID, this, that,
right.
But no, what's truly at the core of our being, what's that still small voice? Yeah.
That's
interesting
really
that you mentioned the chip,
the
mark of the beast, which we haven't talked about, but it's interesting that it says on the forehead or the hand, because in Scripture, the faithful in the Old Testament were described as having the Lord's mark on their forehead and their hand because they thought good thoughts and they did good deeds. So if you're thinking evil thoughts, or if you're caught up in a universe other than ours, an AI universe or whatever else, or if your actions are all worldly or selfish or whatever else, then you're not focused on the Creator and working with Him in your life as an instrument. It's beautiful. Point. It's beautiful.
Very good point.
Final thought from me for all of you is I just want to encourage everybody to remember what I just said about Catherine of Siena. Every single human being, it rubs me the wrong way when people refer to people as NPCs. Every single human being has a heart, a soul, and a mind.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may seem NPC because what they're going through in their own personal life behind the surface that they're not burdening you with, right? And so we all, like Bill was saying, like a conversation can be such nutriment to the soul and joy to the heart and to the mind. And so don't take for granted any interaction, whether it's the teller at the grocery store checking you out, or the bartender at your favorite watering hole, like it doesn't matter. These are people with minds and hearts and lives that are starving for truth, even if they don't realize it. So.
And just realness, what I mean?
Yeah.
Because on certain levels, they know they're being lied to too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may not, and if they can find someone that's real, quote unquote, at least to them, like, wow, this is a genuine person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that could change someone's life and change the trajectory they were on anyway. So I don't know. Be the light, man. Be the light, right?
I love it. Amen. I love it. Bill, thank you so much, man. It was a joy and a pleasure having you on the podcast here.
Thank you for having me. I know we didn't really have anything like specifically planned, and we were all over the place and all that, and some of it caught me off guard, which is awesome because I love that. But this has been like just awesome, man. Refreshing.
I love it, man. Yeah, right back at you, man. It's a blessing. Now I know why Ted loves you so much.
Thanks, man.
You guys are both great dudes. Yeah, I'm very honored to know just even the whole phone booth group. There's so many good people there. Again, people seeking the truth, so it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be something.
All right.
Other than this.
Yep. Love you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Right. Thank you.